Hello YouTube, it's me, Symbiosis2099, and I thought I'd do a short little vlog about Transformers Armada, because I just finished watching the entire series a couple of days ago. I've actually already started on Energon, which I'm already liking Energon a lot more than I did Armada, and consequently I liked Armada a whole lot better than Robots in Disguise. So I'm going to take just a minute to speak on why I thought Robots in Disguise was so terrible. And I did think it was just awful. Other than the terrible voice acting, I guess it wasn't that bad. But I really couldn't stand the fact that at first there were four bad guys, four Predacons. There's Megatron, and I don't know, it was a Cyber Shark repaint, and Slapper, and Gas Skunk. Just those four, I'm pretty sure. And there was like three Autobot brothers and Optimus. And I don't remember a lot about it, so you'll have to excuse me. But I know that Megatron made the Decepticons, which was Scourge and the Combaticons, basically. They informed Bruticus. I mean, like I said, I don't remember the actual names, but I'm pretty sure the toy was just a repaint of Generation 2 Bruticus. And that was all Megatron had. Like, that was it. And that irritated the crap out of me. The Decepticons got their ass kicked every episode. I'm pretty sure there wasn't a single episode where the Decepticons even were close to getting the upper hand on the Autobots, because the Autobots had Prime and the three brothers, and they had the build team, and I've got their toys, and I'm going to review them, and I hated those toys. I spent probably a good hour and a half when I first got them trying to combine them, and they left a part out of the instructions, actually, where there's two pegs on the back of Wedge where he pegs in to the part that forms the arms and kind of solidifies it. So my build team, for the longest time, Wedge would just flop right over. But anyway, Ultra Magnus, the Spy Changers. It's like the Autobots just kept getting reinforcements, and Megatron was just forced to get his ass kicked through the entire series. But Armada is quite the opposite. In Armada, the Decepticons did really well, and I like that. I like it when it feels more like there's a struggle, not so much like one side is overpowering the other, and it bored me. Robots in Disguise did, just because of that. But Armada was a pretty good TV show if you can get past the kids. There are a few episodes of Armada that I just skipped through, like the episode where Sideways sucks the kids into the computer program. I hated that episode. I didn't like that Wheeljack played such a small role. I had the toy before I seen any episodes with him in it, and I was really interested on how it came to pass that he was a traitor. There was like 3 different traitors in Armada, and the concept of traitors is cool to me. Like Beast Wars, Dinobot was a traitor. He went from Predacon to Maximal, and then like towards the end he kind of leaned towards Predacon just a bit. But he was a really cool character. And in this one, it was like Sideways, one episode, Sideways is an Autobot. And I used to have his toy, and I have no idea what happened to it. It was a really neat toy. It had a neat little feature where he had 2 different Headmaster Minicons, and they would just clip right in, and depending on which one you had clipped to him, he had an Autobot or Decepticon symbol on his chest. And if you didn't have either one, he had another head that would come up that only appears once in the show. And that bothered me too. I don't understand why he still had the Decepticon head on even after he had left the Decepticons, but that's another... I'm getting ahead of myself. Scavenger, he was another traitor. He started out as a Decepticon, and it's weird. It's like the writers didn't get straight like why he switched over, because whenever he first becomes an Autobot again, Optimus is like, yeah, I had him infiltrate the Decepticons. And then later on down the road, there's a conversation between him and Hotshot, where he tells Hotshot that the reason he switched sides was so he could train Hotshot to help Hotshot develop. And I really liked Hotshot's character development. I hated Hotshot going into Armada. I thought that he was a terrible character. He was just so silly, and he was like, oh, I'm going to kill Decepticons, and he had a one-track mind, and his character really developed, and I liked that. I really enjoyed how his character developed. I didn't enjoy how they pushed a lot of the characters back, and crap. Wheeljack got pushed back. It's like he just faded away. And I guess all of them did that at one point, but Wheeljack just stands out as the one that got pushed back the most. And apparently Armada was rushed in production because the toy line was coming out in America, and I might be wrong about this, and I'm sorry if I am, but the toy line was coming out over here, and they really wanted it to like get out there before the toy line came out. So there's a lot of mistranslations, and that's apparent whenever Smokescreen comes back. Smokescreen's blasted into oblivion by the Requiem blaster, and Red Alert rebuilds him into Hoist. And the thing is, I know the episode where he comes back, they're still calling him Smokescreen, and I'm pretty sure for several episodes thereafter he's still Smokescreen. And I was really confused because the first episode that Overload appears in, Optimus tells Hoist to launch Overload. And I was like, who the fuck is Hoist? And as it turns out, Hoist is Smokescreen, and they just refer to him as Hoist from there on. A lot of the names are messed up. Optimus calls his Minicon Leader 1 so many times. Grindor and Sure Shot get confused a lot. A thing that really bothered me was Galvatron. And I knew that there was going to be a Galvatron in this show whenever I went in to watch it. I've watched a few episodes, but I'm acting as if I've just watched it. I'd seen probably the first 10 to 15, maybe even 20 episodes, and then I just caught bits and pieces. But I knew there was a Galvatron. And I was anxious to see, because I was thinking it was going to be like the old school movie where this guy right here comes along and turns Megatron into Galvatron. But no, it wasn't like that at all. In the episode where they fought Nemesis Prime, these freaking Minicons just come down after they've all gotten their ass kicked by Nemesis Prime. These Minicons come down and they repair them all, and I thought it was cool that they gave Hot Rod's paint scheme, because in Japanese cartoon he is Hot Rod, not Hot Shot. But anyway, the Minicons come down, they all get new paint jobs, and their armor is apparently stronger, whatever. And Megatron gets up, and they're like, oh, blah, blah, Megatron, and he's like, just call me Galvatron. And I'm going, so he just decides that he's Galvatron. There was no difference at all. He wasn't a different bot or anything. He was the same bot, different paint scheme. And he's just like, oh, call me Galvatron. And Optimus Prime says something to him, and he calls him Megatron, and he's like, Galvatron to you. And after that episode, they make no reference to Megatron ever again. He's just Galvatron, and I thought that was kind of lame. Starscream makes this really cool comment, because he turns blue and he looks just like Thundercracker, and he says that. He goes, I look like Thundercracker, while looking at himself. It was pretty neat. Overall, I thought the show was okay. Like I said, I wasn't overly impressed with it. The kids irritated me. They don't seem as irritating in Energon so far. I might be wrong about that. I was disappointed that this guy, and I gotta keep popping him into the frame because he's freaking cool. He's as big as my head. This guy right here, the last 10 or 12 episodes are called the Unicron battles. And I was really excited when it got to that point, because I was like, alright, Unicron's going to come, and there's going to be major ass kicking. And didn't really go down like that. He's only in like the last 3, 4, maybe 5 episodes. I don't exactly recall. I have terrible, terrible memory. But there's a lot of talk about him. They sit around, they're like, oh, Unicron's coming, Unicron's coming. And there's this big black hole. And they're like, oh, Unicron's coming, and he made that black hole. But it turns out Unicron's disguised as one of Cybertron's moons. I expected him to just come through the black hole. But he didn't. And Unicron comes, finally. And Unicron goes. And that's the end of Armada. So I didn't really enjoy that. I thought it was really cool that they included Unicron. I've been looking forward to that ever since the 80s movie. I've been a Transformers geek ever since I was a wee lad. And I've been looking forward to that for a long time. Seeing Unicron and seeing a Unicron toy. It would have been really cool if the Unicron toy was to scale. It would have been as tall as me, and that would have been awesome, but I would have never been able to afford it in that case.